Hello, everyone. My name is Lernik. I'm co-founder of BeeGraphy, and happy to see everyone who joined. And I can see other people are joining, which is good. So, to today's call. In today's call, we'll cover basically two things. One is share some information about the latest release and the features from the latest release. And the other thing is share some information about the BeeGraphy Design Awards, how it's going, the next steps. And you can ask questions on the both topics. I'll start with sharing the news about the release, and then I'll give the floor to Abhishek, and Abhishek will cover the part about the Design Awards. Abhishek, can I ask you to share the slides?
Sure.
Or maybe... Oh, actually, the very latest release was more focused on fixing bugs rather than adding new features. So I'm not going to be elaborating on all of those bugs because there were 20, 20, I said 100, sorry. But there are some improvements in terms of functionality, and some are still work in progress. So let me share the few things that you may have seen already. Abhishek, let's go to the next slide. And
sure.
The calculation panel. Can you send me some smile response, maybe thumbs up if you have seen the calculation panel?
Well, I have seen. What about others?
Okay. Because initially when we launched it, I think there was this toggle in the marketplace, but then I think it disappeared and it's now only available in the editor mode and demo mode, but not in the market. The point of this calculation panel is to display some, obviously, calculations related to the model. It was meant mainly for the manufacturing purposes, but not necessarily. So let me probably share my screen.
Sure.
I'll probably just show briefly. Firstly, keep in mind that it's still work in progress, and it's just the first iteration. You can experiment with it if you want, or you can just wait until we release the improved version of it. So right now, calculation components are available from my assets, from the component section. So that creates, I don't know, there's already calculation demo, dimensions, calculator. Let's call it this way. So from let me turn this off for now. So from here, in the core section, there is block with right now 6 calculations. Let me drag and drop a few. And by the name, you can probably tell the purpose of each one of them. So there is volume calculator, laser engraving area calculator, laser cutting length calculator, box dimension, just dimension, and quantity. So if you have some model where you want to factor in the quantity, for example, you have some cabinet and you want to count the number of handles and put a price on each handle, you can do that by connecting this wire with the output related to the count. You can connect this to the object, and this is the price. I honestly, I'm not sure why we need the object here. We'll need to check with the developers. The rest don't have that. I don't know whether this was intentional or a mistake. So let me do, so when I add this, and if I go to calculation panel here, no, here it's not displayed, so probably in the model it will. I want to use just one for the sake of example. Let me, which one? Okay, let me use this. To create a component, you need to give it an input. And if you don't need to use any of the inputs, you can just ignore and not use it. For example, you can just set a fixed price and that's it. So it will be, I don't know, $100. At the moment, you can't change the currency, so everything is in dollars, but we'll solve that as well in the next releases. But for now, let me use everything. Yes, and price. Good. So I just go out, dimension calculator, got out of here. Let me, I don't know what's this model. Okay, let me delete this and delete the comment. So here in the component section, I have it. So it has all these parameters. There is still a bug with components, so because only the lengths get transferred. So I guess this was the width, length. The last one was the price. This was thickness, I think, and this was count. Let me just create this, for example. This was the count, and so let's do this. The length. Oops. And okay, this was the width. thickness. Let me ignore the thickness. And the price, let's do this. So I created this just to demo. Go to the calculation panel. Here you can see so the quantity, the dimension displayed, thickness, and the price. And if the person goes to a demo mode, you can turn this on. You can change the parameters, and you will see that when you change this, it recalculates. So everything is dynamic, and it's semi-transparent. Like some lines are transparent, some are not. And you can export to PDF and Excel. Since I'm sharing the tab, you don't see my exports, but trust me, it works. And depending on what you want to display, you can actually display multiple tables here, like one for quantity, one for dimensions, one for volume. There is none for weight right now, but technically you can use the volume and multiply it by, let's say, a property like density and get the weight. I think I did some, oh, sorry, I wasn't sharing. I was sharing a different tab. I hope, I wish someone told me. So I was in this tab, so showing how it works and the exporting, and you can minimize it just to show the total or expand. So this is convenient in case you want to not only display your model, but also explain your, convey the message to your clients that, okay, when they change some parameters, it will impact the cost of the project or maybe the timeline. So it's up to you what kind of parameters you want to demo there. Now let me go back. I think I was, see if this model, I was playing just on this one. So let me open it in demo. So just as an example, here volume is actually the weight. So when I change the material, the weight also changes, and the price obviously changes. So by changing the parameters, it directly impact the price and the volume, obviously. This is in grams in this model. Okay, I think the part about the calculation panel is clear, like the intent is clear. You can see that, like design-wise, we have some problems also here. And also the interface, we want to change a bit. So this was the first iteration for us just to have something out. Should you have any feedback, like if there's something, if there's an idea that you have in mind that we could use to improve this, or like you have some thoughts to share, don't hesitate. You can do it in this call or after the fact on Discord, or send it to us by email. So this is it about the calculation. Abhishek, probably no need to share the presentation. I just will check it on my phone because I need it just for sequence. Dynamic grouping. Okay. It's the other thing we added. I don't know if it's still work in progress, so I don't want to actually elaborate on it much. But in brief, when you create a group, you can make it dynamic, and by that we mean that two inputs will apply to multiple outputs. Well, this model that I created, actually, when I was creating it, I didn't have this demo in mind, so I didn't create something that would explain really well how it will work. So this will be a bit confusing. So maybe let me open the marketplace. How was it? Okay, just to explain the idea, because this model wasn't created using dynamic groups, but let it download the textures. Okay, so here right now I have 4 widths that control each segment. And then closet parameters for each of the 3, 4. Yeah, it should have said 4. Four of these. With dynamic groups, in case I choose 2, like right now, BeeGraphy's interface still shows 4 parameters that if I change will have no effect on the model. But with dynamic groups, I'll see only the inputs to that particular segment. So that was the idea. So that's also work in progress. Logic gates. Let me go here. So most of you probably know that we have the stream filter, but it works only with true false, kind of. Can use now gates. In fact, let me show where they are. They are in math. So here are the gates, gate and or, XOR, XNOR, NAND, NOR, not. Majority, equality was there before. So yeah, all of these. You can Google. Most of you may be familiar with how these gates work, but if you don't, you can just Google and or logical gates, and there will be a lot of material. This is the simplest one that I'll use as an example. So for example, well, let me see, and true and or false. So right now, since it's not checked, it works as or. And as or, if you give it a list of data, list sequence. No, it needs to be a Boolean. I think Boolean to number. Oh, condition number. We don't have number to Boolean. Okay. I should give me an idea. I can't think of a good idea. What kind of? Well, I need to give it a list of booleans, and based on the list, it will give and or. So if everything is in the list is true, or if anything in the list is true, it will output true. Or I can click and. So if everything is true, it will output true. Otherwise, it will output false. Not is obvious. XOR, XNOR, as mentioned. The rest you can Google. Okay. Custom textures.
Did you try Boolean converter?
Yeah, I actually I think I still need a Boolean converter. Yes, this.
And add the list over here.
Exactly. So here's a list of data from 0 to 4, and 0 is obviously false, and the rest are true. So here, if it's or, then it will output. Oh, I need to. It's should I have been adding here as well? Yeah, I guess
You will have to add the number, like which one has to be excluded.
Yeah.
So in the and or tab, you will have to put the Boolean sequence, like which one will be true or which one will be false.
I guess. Where is this? Yeah, false, true. No, this is.
This will be another list type.
I need to. I am guessing this is a bug, but I'm not sure. But anyways, we have it. Now we need to check it. The custom textures, it's still work in progress. We don't have it yet. We plan to release it this month, and they will be available in this section. So there will be one more component, the texture, and I guess one more for the environment maps. And it will make this process of applying textures much easier. Not only you will be able to use the textures available, but you will also be able to upload your own textures, either like the open source textures available on the internet, or maybe you have your own JPEG that you will want to use as a texture. So that's another thing. Same for environment maps. And auto rendering and Shopify plugins. So Shopify plugin, it's not released yet. It's work in progress. So we will need to finish the calculation part and also the Shopify plugin part because they will work together. But in general, just giving you a heads up if you consider using BeeGraphy for creating product configurators for e-commerce. Once we have it released, you'll be able to use it. That's a feature that we are going to keep not free. What's the opposite to not free? To be available on commercial basis, because that's how we plan to keep BeeGraphy sustainable. For the business model, the pricing part, we're yet to define that. So maybe we'll have it out for free for some time until we define the business model. And auto rendering, if any of you did publishing recently, then you may have noticed that when you publish, now it creates a render. So just to show you an example, Simon is on the call, by the way, I noticed. So his models, as you can see, those were auto-rendered, and others, they shared their renders and asked us to use their renders instead. Simon, if you want, we can also use a rendered image. But in fact, I honestly think this is really not bad. So this is the auto rendering feature that works when you publish the model. I hope maybe at a later stage we develop it further so that when you go to your BeeGraphy workspace, here you have those auto renders available, so that you don't have this cubes here. Instead, you know what's inside before you open. I think I covered everything. So time for your questions. If you have any, of course.
Yep.
Anything that was unclear, or maybe you want me to elaborate on? If you want to ask your question, you can unmute or raise your hand. I don't know. Okay, Simon, as to render properly, I was wondering how others have nicer. Okay, yeah, Simon, there. Let me take a minute. So, Graphy, how to publish.
So probably I'll be explaining that part when when you publish, it will auto render. You want to explain, Lanik?
I just want to answer kind of two questions. One was this one. So if you Google BeeGraphy how to publish, you will find this blog post about how to publish in the BeeGraphy marketplace. It's quite detailed, step by step, related to what you can do, how you can do this, how to apply textures, how to then publish, what kind of tags we need, how you can rename the inputs, hide, change the sequence. Make sure you define min-max so that your model doesn't disappear when someone by mistake changes the value to 0, for example. You can save camera position, like the starting position, and also the saved camera position will be the position that we will use for auto rendering. So they are related. So when, for example, when Simon was creating this auto renders, or when we were creating auto renders for Simon, I guess here this is how the camera position that Simon used that we saved, but maybe this one he didn't save it. I don't know, Simon, maybe you can share how you did it so we can verify my assumption. I'm going back. So as long as your description is correct, the category names are correct, the title is correct, you have export nodes connected so that you let others export. You can make it a paid model or free, because if you make it showcase, it will not be visible on the marketplace. It will be still available publicly if someone finds you by your link, or if you share your profile link to others. So where was the part? Renders. Okay, so renders are optional. By default, we provide this auto render that before it kind of existed, but it was buggy, so it didn't work. So you thought it didn't exist. But you can actually create a render of this resolution and send it to us in WebP file format. And if you have JPEG, you can easily convert to WebP using lots of free online resources. You send it to us, and we'll use that image for you and upload it manually. We have a plan to enable our users actually to upload 10 or 12 renders themselves without us getting involved. But until that's working, you need to ask us manually, just sending us an email to support@beegraphy.com, and we will upload your rendered image there. And this is how others got their renders. We will be moderating your model, and if it meets all of the criteria, we will display it in the marketplace. So you can actually go show filters, click non-moderated models, and see all of the models, including some test models or somebody, I don't know. Like you can see that there are models that are not yet available. So if someone was just exploring BeeGraphy, we didn't moderate it because we don't want to show nonsense on the main page. But if it's a good model with good description, like here's a model, let's see as an example. So it does have the names. Product parameters 1 and 2. So is here. The min max are set. So this model seems to be fine, and maybe we can moderate and approve it. There's the description. There are the hashtags. By the way, when you're publishing, you'll have to put the hashtag, or it's our bug, I guess. We add a hashtag when you put something there, but when you add your own hashtag sign, then we end up having two hashtags. Maybe we can then clean it up automatically to avoid this. So this is it regarding the publishing.
We
Any
have
more
a
questions?
from Amir.
Question from Amir?
Yeah.
Chrome is it when I have a problem with the editor, when it freezes.
I'll just read it. Like, I usually use Chrome as a default browser. So when I have a problem with the editor node and it freezes and I have to refresh my page, is it the browser that's the fault over here, or what is the best browser for BeeGraphy to use?
Okay, so Amir, thanks for the question. I think maybe quite relevant for many people. Chrome is the best browser because that's the one we use for testing, and that's where we work on by default. We try to make it compatible with other browsers. should be working fine with Chromium browsers such as Safari. I think Bing also uses Chromium. Mozilla, I don't think it does, so it may have more problems. Opera, I don't know either. Also, there is, I think, DuckDuckGo. I'm not sure. No, Core. So we didn't check with those. I don't know how it's going to work. Regarding the freezing, it may freeze. It may freeze if your model is computationally heavy, because the way we compute, we're not computing on the server, because computing on the server is expensive, and we want to keep our editor free. If we convert to computing on the server, we will have to make it paid. So when you're computing, it's being computed on your computer. So if you're computing on a phone, then computation is done by the processor of your phone. Same for the tablet or desktop or laptop. So the more powerful, capable your device is, the faster it will compute. That's on one hand. On the other hand, it depends on what kind of algorithm you use. So if you're using a computationally heavy algorithm, and the most computationally intensive things are Booleans, so they might cause your browser tab to freeze. What you can do in such cases, you can either wait, and it will eventually compute unless there is this endless loop that you accidentally created, and then you can open in the safe mode, basically turning off the computation, check the script, maybe disconnect what caused the error, and then turn the solver back on. By the way, can you react? Is there anyone who doesn't know about safe mode and would like me to take a minute to explain? Like, is this relevant? Like, do you know about the ability to turn off the solver or recovering your model that broke because of sometimes doing some silly connection accidentally? Okay, so I'm glad to know that people know about the safe mode. So yeah, safe mode might help. We can't do much about solving this freezing problem, but one thing we can do and will do is there is a technology called web workers that we agreed with our CTO. It's a challenging task to implement, but we decided that we will. Once we have the web workers, it will enable to partially use the multiple cores of your processor. The way browsers work, normally by default, they work single-threaded. But with web workers, there is a way to take advantage of multiple cores. We will have to spend time to figure how we do it, how we change the architecture. So it's actually a very challenging task that will require a lot of hours, maybe 3 months. We'll start in January. That's the plan. So hopefully by the first quarter, we can deploy it and we'll avoid these freezes. And in general, we'll improve the computation time. So it will work much faster. And there is one more thing that we want to introduce to optimize these computations. But I don't want to reveal that. Once we do that, probably we will also improve the performance, maybe 10x. well, it will actually will depend on the algorithm, but there is a way to, for some algorithms, there is a way to optimize and to optimize performance 10x or even 100x or 1000x, depending on how many times one and the same item repeats. Are there any more questions? Can you provide an overview for the second? Okay. Belgi, Belgi is asking to provide an overview of how the second part of the competition will take place. This is to be covered by Abhishek. I think I can give the floor to Abhishek and let him explain that part